What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Clear Life Media Sports Podcast. We're going to be sitting with Cams from Cam's Corner, and I'm Kurt, and we're going to be talking about all things sports. We got a busy, packed weekend going on tonight. We got some baseball, we got some football, some college football, and we just wanted to sit down and get you entertained and get you kind of caught up, ready to go. We're going to have some hot takes. We're going to have some things you need to be watching out for. So let's first start with the game tonight between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Game 6.
Yes, sir.
Blue Jays are up 3-2. It's been an interesting series for sure. What are your thoughts about tonight's game?
Man, I'm still partially recovering from that 18-inning game
That
on
was crazy.
Tuesday. But, so the starters that are projected tonight are Yamamoto and Gossman. And, if y'all remember from the last appearance of Yamamoto, he did a complete game. And so if he can somehow replicate that performance and, make sure they don't have to rely too much on the bullpen, let Shohei hit some dingers like he has been, or, just getting to base in general, then, I could definitely see them evening the series, especially if we still have George Springer out, which as of right now, I still don't know if they are going to end up playing him tonight. And, it's a little scary, but if Vladdy can do what Vladdy's been doing, then, I think we might see some, confetti out in the sky tonight.
Though, one of the things as a sports fan, though, we like Game 7. So I think, a lot of us sports fans are rooting for the Dodgers to win tonight so that we can have that coveted Game 7. When was the last time that a Game 7 happened in the World Series? Do you know? You got to look that up.
I know.
It wasn't last year.
For the on the spot. It wasn't last year.
And none of the Astros ones went to Game 7. Am I correct on that?
No, because we did have one, I believe. So, man, you put me on the spot.
I did put him on the spot. I should have told him that this was going to happen. Yeah,
that one went to
Astros 7. Thank you, Chris, to our producer, calling that out.
Yeah, 2019, that was the last one, according to MLB's website. I'm using them for, of course, the real
So we haven't had a Game 7 in 6 years, so it would be kind of cool to have. I think Game 7, whether that's NBA or Major League Baseball, is one of the coolest things to happen. Nothing, at the end of the game, there's going to be a champion crowned.
Well, it's like they say, there's no two better words in sports than Game 7.
Game 7. So tonight, Dodgers, Blue Jays. It's going to be an awesome game. Hopefully not 18 innings because we're going to be up all night watching that. And the kids are going to be out trick-or-treating, and you don't want that going on, right?
Hey, as long as they're in some cool outfits and everything, some reason for me to get so much candy to give out for them because that's a lot of money for candy. I'll tell you that right now.
All right, let's switch it up because baseball almost over with. This again, Game 6 tonight. But one of the things that we are in the heat of the season is the college football season is in full swing. The college football playoff picture is starting to become more clear. A lot of teams getting knocked out of potential chances. There's a lot of elimination games coming up. I would say elimination games this weekend. But there's still a lot of uncertainty of what's going to go on. One of the things that before we get into the games tomorrow, I wanted to touch base on last night. I got the text, the LSU athletic director fired after he fired Brian Kelly. Apparently, he didn't tell anyone that he was going to fire Brian Kelly, which is crazy. Giving out $51 million buyout to a football coach and not tell anybody, not the sports directors, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. We've seen a lot of that go down this season. Started with Penn State and James Franklin out the door. You got Billy Napier in Florida. He's gone. Openings at Virginia Tech, Arkansas. This is a crazy scenario that I don't remember a year like this ever happening where there were so many coaches fired so early in the season.
Yeah, it's crazy to even think about because, no one would have expected LSU to even have the season that they've been having regardless. And then people – because I saw other people saying, yeah, I mean, the athletic director for LSU did make some bad decisions for the football department, but then again, their baseball team had won some recent championships. Obviously, their women's basketball team with Angel Reese was a champion team. And so people, though, were just wanting to put a spotlight on the football program because, of course, it's the biggest thing.
It's the thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter as an athletic director. It doesn't matter what you do in those other sports. It matters what you do in football. Same thing. I'm a big Nebraska guy. Football mediocre for the last
Oh, yeah.
20 something years, right? But their volleyball program is the best freaking program in the country, the number one in the nation right now. They've won multiple championships, but nobody thinks about that because it does boil down to what is that football team doing on the field, and LSU is a prime example of that. I hadn't ever thought of that, so that was a great connection there. But what's crazy is like you have now coaches getting these massive buyouts, and the reason for that is because athletic directors are like, oh, you're not poaching my coach, giving out these massive extensions. Jimbo Fisher was one of those prime examples, was mediocre at best, right? Yeah. Hey, but we're going to extend your contract, which is why he walked away with 70 something million dollars in his back pocket, because he got his extension and then 2 years later was fired. It's like, come on, guys. But you're scared that you're going to lose that coach. Matt Rule yesterday signed a contract extension at Nebraska. You saw Kurt Signetti for Indiana also got a contract extension. These coaches, they have to. And I guess even in Matt Rule's contract, if he makes it to the playoffs, he gets $1 million added to his salary every year, which is crazy. So if they go to the playoffs every year for the next 5 years, he's going to be the highest paid coach in the country, which is nuts. But, I mean, if you're going to the playoffs 5 years in a row, maybe you should be.
Yeah. You deserve that money if you're going to be that good of a coach, in my opinion. And, I mean, it's crazy, too, though, because, I mean, I've seen, like, a lot of people saying, like, with all these coaching spots up for the taking, one person that people have been interested in is, like, Lane Kiffin, for instance.
Is he going to get a contract extension at Ole Miss? If you're Ole Miss, you're sitting there being like, how much can we throw at this guy to get him to stay? But if you're Ole Miss, do you care?
I don't know, because that's the thing. I mean, like, Ole Miss has been good, but have they been great?
Yeah. I remember Lane Kiffin. I've known Lane Kiffin. His dad, Monty Kiffin, was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive coordinator that year that they won the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Monty Kiffin is from my hometown. He graduated high school back in like 1950 something from Lexington High School in Lexington, Nebraska. And so I have known about Lane for a while. Monty's picture, they won like a state championship, and so in my high school they have like the picture of the team, and so it was kind of cool walking by. Oh, Monty Kiffin back, because I was in high school when Monty was the defensive coordinator, and they won that Super Bowl. So I'm like, oh, look, Monty Kiffin, he just won a Super Bowl. Look, he's up on the wall. And it was kind of interesting to see, Lane, because he started out at and got fired from the Oakland Raiders, got fired from USC, ran out of town in Tennessee. Like, I saw somebody said that they wanted to name a sewage plant after Lane Kiffin in Tennessee, which is kind of funny. So got fired as the offensive coordinator before the national championship game at Alabama. So he's had all of these firings, and then got something good at Florida International, and then is okay at Ole Miss. But now he's the hottest commodity in college football, which is crazy.
Yeah, because, I mean, I even saw, and it was already debunked as fake, but, people were wanting to try to get Sarkisian from UT, and even were saying, like, how there was interest for him for the Tennessee Titans job too, which would have been crazy. But his agent already said, like, no, he's staying at Texas, and even with this bad season.
Yeah, but the funny thing for Steve is looking at the scenarios that are here. I don't know again if this would happen, but let's say Texas loses to Vanderbilt. Let's say Texas loses to Texas A&M. They were the number one preseason team in the country, and what would that be, 4 losses?
Yeah,
that's worse than the Penn State, kind of similar situation to Penn State. do you let Steve go? Do you fire Steve for having that kind of a season?
I don't think you do, because I mean, it's not like it's been fully to blame on him. Like, I mean, we can be honest. Arch hasn't had the best season, and then they've had some injuries, and now Arch himself has a concussion, and they don't know if he's even going to start against Vanderbilt tomorrow. And so, I mean, I wouldn't fully blame it on him. I mean, I even saw some people were saying that in terms of recruiting, they weren't doing much for the transfer portal either. And I mean, their offensive line isn't really as good as it has been in past years.
Yeah, but isn't that the coach's fault?
I mean,
It comes back to the coach every single time, right?
he's definitely a part of the blame for that.
Yeah. So it's just an interesting scenario that, again, I would have never thought of based on the landscape that we're in today. I guess the only other time that, like, I, in my recent memory, have ever thought about this was back in 2003. Nebraska fired Frank Solich.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Solich won 9 games that year, was 9-3, and they fired him. Like 2 years removed from playing for the national championship against Miami. 9-3. And then the curse of Nebraska, right? Like, haven't been back to that standard since Frank Solich. And it was shocking. But they didn't do it during the middle of the season. They waited until the end of the season. And that was crazy. Like, I had never seen anything. I remember watching the news and I'm like, what just happened? Like, how do you fire this coach after winning 9 games?
Yeah, I mean,
Consistently.
With a repertoire like that, I don't understand at all, to be honest.
But that's the scenario that we're in 2025. Multiple scenarios.
Yeah.
Like Penn State, he was 1 play away from winning the national, from going to the national championship. 8 months later, sitting in Cancun with a $51 million paycheck, like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it makes no sense, to be honest, but I mean, history tends to repeat itself, I guess,
Yeah. So let's switch it up and let's talk about some of the big college football games going on this week.
Yeah, I mean, so like we said, Texas is playing Vanderbilt this weekend. I mean, it's a must-win for Texas. If they don't win, then you can basically kiss their butt out of the college playoff.
Yeah, it is a must-win, but Vanderbilt's in the same situation. I saw something today. They still have a game at Tennessee. They have Texas coming up. Which one do you want to win? You want to win both, obviously, if you're Vanderbilt. But if you lose against Texas and beat Tennessee, are you in the college football playoff? A 10-2 Vanderbilt.
I mean, because it'd be better to win against Tennessee, but if you have that loss against Texas on your scorecard in a sense, then that's a little rough too for them to sort of decide on if they want to let them in.
And if Vanderbilt beats Texas again, does Texas beat Texas A&M? You can't. So now that's again a 4-loss Texas team. Steve out the door, maybe. That's crazy to think about. But this is the craziest college football landscape I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, and because I'm going to talk about my boys too, because the Cougs, if you don't remember, they're 7-1 right now, and they have their blackout game against West Virginia this weekend. And like I've said before, it's to honor the director of strength and performance, Coach Kurt Hester, who passed away last weekend.
Yeah.
And I mean, with our schedule right now, I'm just saying they have a great chance to even make the Big 12 title game, if you didn't know that.
But see, that's crazy to me too, is like the Big 12 is kind of an easy conference right now, right? Like, who's the best team in the Big 12? Do we even know?
I mean, before Texas Tech's quarterback tore his ACL and was out for the season, they were the team to beat in a sense in the division, or in the conference rather. But I mean, now it's more just up in the air.
Yeah, because you got Cincinnati, you got BYU, you got Houston, you still got Texas Tech. The college game day is at Utah versus Cincinnati. Like, the Big 12's got an easy path to the playoff. Like, you're going to get one team in it, and that's pretty much it. But you look at the SEC and the Big 10, and they're trying to get like 4 or 5 teams in the college football playoff, which is crazy, But that's the bias, I guess, that we have towards the strength of those teams in the Big 12.
Yeah, that's the way we wanted to make the college playoff look now. Just all the SEC teams in there. Because I wasn't it last year there was like none that ended up making the playoff, if I remember correctly.
From the SEC?
Wasn't there
No,
either 0 or 1? All
no.
right, then.
Texas,
Revision.
Texas. You had, yeah, no, you had. Come on,
I'm
come
over
on.
here. You know what? I
The
barely
Big
woke up an hour ago.
12, the Big 12 had the one team. They had Arizona State.
Oh wait, you know what? I was over here thinking of March Madness and how
Oh, my
very little
God.
of them made it far.
Okay. Anyways, switching back. So let's go to the other blackout game. Also another college elimination game.
Yes.
College football playoffs elimination game. USC Nebraska. USC's number 23 in the country. They have 2 losses. Nebraska also has 2 losses. You get that third loss, you're pretty much out of the college football playoff at this point. So how does that game kind of play in? It's a night game, blackout game. The first time that Nebraska has ever done a blackout game. And I saw some of the pictures of the stadium. They blacked out the end zones. They blacked out the end. They're asking everyone to wear black. Nebraska is 0-28 versus a ranked team. 0-28, and USC's coming in at 23rd in the country. How does this turn out for these two teams in that college playoff elimination?
I mean, it doesn't sound the best, and then because I wanted to end up just looking at the odds and everything on there, and I mean,
Nebraska's a 6.5 point underdog.
yeah, and I don't know, it doesn't look the best for them, but I mean, you're the Nebraska guy, so I feel like you can, in a sense, tell me like what do you think? Do you think they'll end up breaking the record, end up being that one team that
I will
makes the
tell you,
wins?
as a lifelong Cornhusker fan and living through these last 25 plus years of mediocrity, they're called the cardiac Cornhuskers this year because every game you're like, here we go again. Cincinnati was that way. You know, if Nebraska was up late, Cincinnati driving, if Sorsky hadn't thrown that last minute interception, like who knows what would have happened. Northwestern, Nebraska needed a fourth quarter, drive to score. Cardiac Cornhuskers. The only time that they looked flat was against Minnesota. They look great, but they keep games very close. And so I think they'll keep it close. I don't think the magic continues, and I think USC does pull out the victory, and I'm okay with that. I'm still happy because I think at the end of the season, they're still going to be a 9-3, 8-4, still better than what I would have hoped for. They're at least bowling. They got a bowl game already, so this will be a fun one to watch on NBC Saturday night. I think it's 7 o'clock kickoff.
6:30 kickoff.
6:30 kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be really cool to watch. And there's some other big games too. Utah versus Cincinnati will be a good one. That's where College Game Day is going. So there's a lot of cool games that are going on this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, even it's not going to be as great, but Georgia versus Florida too at 2:30. If you got nothing to do at 2:30 during the day, I like that.
I sit and watch football all day. Like if I can, if I'm not doing anything else, I'm sitting and watching games.
Yeah, I mean, in Oklahoma, Tennessee at 6:30. Also, if you wanted to do a multi-view of the Nebraska and the Oklahoma game, you definitely can because that's a great matchup too. Obviously, 18th ranked Oklahoma versus 14th. So
another probably playoff eliminator.
Yeah,
there's a lot of those. So how I judge playoff elimination, you get 3 losses. 9-3 Alabama missed the playoff last year.
Crazy.
And, so that's kind of the standard that I'm setting. If you have 3 losses, you're pretty much eliminated. No matter what conference you're in, no matter what you do, I think if you get 3 losses, you're out.
Yeah.
So a lot going on. Cam, how can somebody learn more about Cam's Corner? Where can they find that information? Can they watch on Monday, the next one?
Of course, obviously, Cam's Corner gets posted every Monday on Instagram. If anything, I'm gonna do my best to try to just get it on TikTok too, because we're missing out on a landscape. I need some of the young generation to see, the love that I have for sports, obviously, because I mean, I'm over here just grabbing the edge of my chair because I love it every dang day, and I'm gonna be watching it tonight, even whenever I'm out and about in my cheerleader outfit that I got from, the costume store Halloween.
You're going as a girl cheerleader?
No, the Will Ferrell cheerleader from the SNL sketch.
Oh my gosh, you scared me for a second. I'm like,
Tomorrow,
bro.
I will be going as Cal Naughton Jr. from Talladega Nights to a Halloween party, though. Because, I'm the magic man. Because now you see me, now you don't.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's wrap this up before we say anything else. Again, Cam, I'm Kurt. This is Clear Life Sports.